All right, welcome back. Howdy doody, as the children say. I'm Agent Ultra, and I am here to entertain and enjoy some programming with you. On the stream, I do stuff mostly in functional programming, but it's not always true. Been doing the Advent of Code this month, and I've been doing it in C for chaos and torture and learnings. But no, I usually do stuff in Haskell in this channel in this stream on Tuesday nights at least when I'm streaming right now. And for the past little while, I've been learning how to build a multi-user dungeon in Haskell. This is an old school real-time multiplayer precursor to the massively multiplayer online game sort of thing. It's text-based, but it's real-time. So you interact with the world's moving around you, and you type in commands, and then stuff updates on the server and does stuff. We're writing the engine in Haskell. It's going to be scriptable in Lua, so if you're a game designer, you'll probably be using the Lua code to make the game. And Haskell does all the low-level work of like concurrency management and threads and networking and running your code, running the engine and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, last week when we were working on this, we were just getting like being able to define things in Lua that will create objects on the Haskell side for the engine to run and use. All right, so I'm really going out of my way here to try and make sure that as a game designer, you don't have to learn Haskell in order to use this engine. Also, I think it'll come up with some nice things because trying to use Haskell to extend Haskell programs, I think is possible, but not super ergonomic and kind of hefty. It's like a head of tile. It can be interpreted, but it really shines as a compiled language. I don't know. Maybe we should try it sometime. But for now, let's get into the code. Let's just get working on stuff. I think this branch is fine-ish now, if I'm not mistaken. We had some tests going. Let's run some of those. I think that's what we were working on a little bit last week as well. Just running a few tests. Nothing major. Yeah, there we go. Passing. Love it. Okay. So, why don't we merge this into main? Do as a squash merge. Okay. I'm gonna call. What are we gonna word this commit as? Lua parser. That's what I'm call it. Added room exit and component definitions. Lua parser dependency, or Lua's language dependency. Language Lua dependency. That's what it is. Language Lua dependency. Lua parsers for. I think we did room and component. And I'm liking this so far, so there we go. Okay, so I kind of want to get us to the point where we can connect to the server. We can already connect to the server, but I mean, like, connect to the server, log in, and be in a room in our simulation. You know, get the room description and see stuff. So, in that vein, in that direction, we want to go. And I'm going to make sure I got chat here. What's up, Cookie Cutter Monster? Hello again. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. It's great. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I want to get to that point. So I guess one of the next things we need to do is actually like parse and load these definitions for the rooms. and get those in place. So that. And then the next part of it was meeting from the other side would be like connecting to the server, finishing the login process, and like connecting to your avatar. And putting that avatar in a room so we can like see the room. That would be cool. But first, we gotta get the room loaded into memory and the map loaded up. Well, I am streaming. I'm working on this mud that I'm trying to build in Haskell. That's what I'm up to. And we're gonna see what we can do this week. Okay, so like I said, space, room, parse definitions, all bunch of code there, all bunch, but it works. Mostly just pattern matching and pulling out data. The Lua parser does most of the work. Language Lua does most of the work. We just have to pattern match on stuff. Okay, so where are we going to stick all of our mud code? That's going to be important. And then maybe we should have like some conventions for that thing. Like maybe you just give us a directory, right? And as long as you follow the conventions for the directory layout, the engine can find all of your code and load up all of your stuff. I'm not a huge fan of configuration, so less is more here. Conventions can be pretty good. They can be annoying. It might not be the right thing for us with this engine, but they can be good. So, let's see. Let's go to server and handle login challenge. No, it's just modded helpers. And where are we gonna put this? Maybe in the server mod. You know what? State. This is like where all of our big bundle of variables are. Big bundle of data. So we need a directory, a file path. For our code. Oh, there it is. Okay, we already have it. Main mud path. All right. All right, and where do we use all of that? Okay, we use a mud code. State and state setup here. Okay. This looks a lot more like a thing, but obviously I was using it when we were kind of just testing the waters with the Lua interpreter. So it looks like it just loads the file path as like a whole file, not a directory. This could be like the entry point for us to start loading stuff. File path or directory? System.directory. I think they're all represented just by file paths, whether it's a directory or an actual file. Cookie Monster learned something cool. Unrelated and kind of horrific regarding caffeine. Oh yeah? I stopped drinking caffeine and using caffeine pretty much exclusively because it started messing with me. What did you learn that was horrific? Yeah, whether it's a file or a directory, it's a file path, so. Yep. Okay, no, that's just loading the main file off of that. This is where we set it up in its server state. That makes sense. Okay, mud main path. Oh, okay. I didn't realize our antibodies recognized caffeine molecules. Interesting. Neat. Yeah, well, I mean, does cancer deter smokers from smoking? It's probably in the back of their minds, but they still do it, so. It's a choice you have to make for yourself. That's so dramatic. Sorry. You know, everybody uses stuff, right? Like caffeine, nicotine. Well, I guess maybe not everybody, but like a lot of people do. Alcohol, all kinds of stuff. You know? You could stop using that stuff or you can keep using it. It's all up to you. Harder on some things than others, granted. And you might need help, but... it always starts with a choice, though. Yeah, I agree. Alcohol is not super great for you and kind of overrated. Doesn't stop me from drinking it once in a while, though. Having a little bit, you know. Okay, so we can... It comes in as a configuration option. I think I remember. Okay. We're calling it main out Lua here, but it really should be like a file path. Yeah, we should probably validate that file path when we're starting up the server. So I'm gonna give us a file path like I don't know, /Bakamud. Directory doesn't exist on this VM anyway, so we're going to get an error when we make this work, but that's cool. We should get an error first, and then we'll make that directory, and we'll see the error go away, and then we'll be like, okay, cool, yay. So let's go back to state where we construct in a server state here. So a simple function is directory, I believe, comes from directory. I don't know if we just want path exists. I want to know it's actually a directory, not a file. With current directory predefined. I just want to test if it's existence test. Okay, there we go. Directory exists. There we go. Okay, does directory exist? Okay, cool. So we'll use that to tell. And we can, this is an IO action, so we could throw just a plain old IO exception here. Could be fine. No. Let's do not does directory exist. Main path. And we'll just straight up error invalid directory. And I think we can append this. Yeah, I currently have 2. Yeah. We just got a new one. He arrived at our house. I think he's been here about 3 months now. Little black kitty. And he's a scaredy cat. He's a rescue. But I guess like maybe 2 months ago, he just started allowing us to pet him. As long as there's food around. He still runs away from me, though, normally. But, like, he's actually getting a little better. So he's doing well. And then my other one, of course, Haskell Cat. She's a tortie. And my favorite. So we need full.monad for when. And system.directory. System.directory. Oh, okay. I thought that was in base, my bad. It's in directory, okay. Let's add that. Oh, sorry. Mouse wheel problems. Okay. And we're gonna sheesh. Code directory. Mud main path. And system.directory. And Cabal. And our dependencies. Let's directory at 1.3.7.1. At least that's the one we're looking at. I think we're somewhere around there. 4.18. Yep, okay, we should be at 1.3.9.0, should be good. Build. Oh, it's an IO action, of course. like that. All good. And then when I run the server, we should see that error. There we go. Bakamud, invalid mud code directory. Da, da, da. Yeah, we'll change the owner of it to moi. Well, I called it Bakamud. Oops. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. And then when we start the server, we should see that go away. Everything's good to go. Cool. Yes. Cool. We connect. Bakamud. We're good. Received connection. All right. Oh, we don't have, was it login? Yeah, we gotta register. Cool. And this is the part, after this part is when we go, okay, we either need like a select your character thing, or we can leave that up to the game designer logic to implement that side. But we should end up with a character connected to an avatar in the simulation, and then see our room description after we log in. So we can disconnect. And what else? Okay, so now that we got that going, let's create a little commit for that. Mainly modifying Bakamud server state. Also just changed. Let's see, also changed. Validate mud main path. Would be a directory. Added. Directory dependency. Yeah. Okay. So next, let's get our... Let's load our room definitions from that directory. So this state, in the state, we have init server state. That kind of like initializes the server state. And then we have another part to this where we need to like start loading all of the user code here. And maybe we want to do that in another function. Or maybe it's fine to do it here, or kick it off here. Obviously, we're gonna have to eventually take these from like a command line or a file or something. Maybe both. But if we had like another step, or we could be like compile and run, or yeah, maybe just compile. An action here. Is it this? It's kind of. I'm on the fence, chat. I'm on the fence about this. If we should have the init state, the init server state, take care of actually like, okay, now that we've got your configuration, we're going to load all of your code and compile all your definitions, build everything we need to run the server. Or if it should, init server state is just enough to get the configuration set up, and then compile should be a separate step that does all of the extra business. And I think I'm answering my own question now. I think I'm going to make it separate because even if we want to move it into init server state, like we could do that. And that would be fine. So what's compile gonna do? Well, it's definitely gonna need the server state because we're gonna compile the map definitions. That's what we're gonna start with. Just the room. It's gonna get a room into the directory, it's gonna parse it, it's gonna create a room Haskell object from it, and then we're gonna put that map probably in the initial server, in the server state. So I'm thinking maybe we should do it in init server state. But I can call it like compile map definitions, or just compile map. All right, we're going to take the server state, and we'll return an IO server state. Then this becomes that, and yeah. The compiled map state comes like this. Now we return that. Good night, Cookie. Good night, Takeries. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. And thank you. I will have a great stream. It's going good so far. Okay, we take the compile map, take the service state, let's get GHCID running. Oh, parser, that's why things are kind of going funky. Yes. That's what I was whinging about. white space sensitive, so it's going to want me to do this. Let's just do that. And then a bunch of code. And then we return pure compiled map state. Source state takes an M. Okay. Don't really care too much about the M there. Okay. Good. And the next thing that we're gonna need to be able to do is we're gonna need a map type, like for our simulation maps. Which is gonna be what? A big ol' it's not gonna be just a room. It's not gonna be just an exit, right? It's gonna be a collection of these things together. And their attendant IDs. What are we going to call that? A space? A space is a thing that has rooms and exits. Or... what else are we going to do? Because we're going to load the definitions. We're going to... well, we're going to... the exits and stuff, we're going to have to like make sure that it's a valid map as well. And that... those room exits refer to rooms exits you've defined. Plus these are going to be like variable names here. And we could check that those exits go to actual rooms and stuff. So it goes to, can point to an actual room ID or a variable. So I think I'll call it a space. Maybe we don't need a type for this. I don't know. Because like I'm like, what is a space? What operations does it have? Most of the things we want to be able to do with the simulation space are going to be like moving the user or moving a avatar from one room to another or moving a mob from one to another through the exits. And we just need to look those things up from a database, really, in order to do that operation. So maybe we don't necessarily need to add more here. Let's try to think, like, what will we... server state. Let's just do the rooms. Maybe we just need to field the rooms. Some stuff. Add like here. Let's just add a the end, maybe. Sim rooms. Sure. Map from the variable name to the room. And the variable name, I guess, will serve as the ID. And map will, well, they have to be unique, right? Map's going to enforce that. Okay, so what we're get compile map to do is we're gonna get it to read the mud main path directory for room exit definitions and load them into the state. Okay, so we'll get our server state. I don't like to use record wildcards while this type is on the right-hand side of the arrow as well. So we'll leave that off. We'll just call it server state. Or just state. Okay, room not in scope. And there's our hole. Okay, so we need to read the contents of that directory. So we can list it. About the special entries. So we get a list of file paths back. Okay. Call my main contents. And list directory. And we'll go state. Server state. Mud main path. We're gonna need, hopefully this works. Oh, language. Overloaded record dot. And overloaded strings probably. Come on here. Little hole there. Okay, cool. So now we got a list of file paths. All right, from that list of file paths, we want to make sure that we have, say, a rooms directory. I think we're going to need data.list. We'll do directory equal to, we'll case match on the find on mud main contents. If we find nothing, Right. Data list. Find. Takes your predicate as the first. Yeah, Aidable. And we want roots. And otherwise, we have it. B. Okay, so then we got our hole. There's probably like a cleaner way of doing this, but it's fine for now. So now we got the room directory. We want to look in there for all of our .lua files. These are all just temporary rename file, copy file, blah blah blah. Suppose we could do like more path existence tests. Find files. Not quite. Timestamps, and that's it. Okay, so we just have to like plop through theirs. I guess we got to filter on our own. We can't just like pass a blob pattern or something. Doesn't look like it. New, find files. Oh, we have find file with. Well, it's one file. And we got find files with. Okay. Okay, so we can go like actually we can get rid of this. It looks like we can go find files with predicate function, a list of paths. So we're gonna go our state, our mud main path, our server state mud main path, and this handy little thing with rooms. What's string? What's that argument? Used for find files with. Use name. Okay, so if name is... Oh, okay, I think I understand what it's saying now. So if name is an absolute path, that's this string here, the function will return a single result if the file exists and satisfies the predicate, and no results otherwise. If the name is a relative path, then for every search directory in directories, this list of file paths, the function checks what that directory / the name exists and satisfies the predicate. So they all have to be named the same? That's not going to be helpful. Okay, so I'm not going to use that then. We're just going to list the contents of that path. Root files. And it'll be state, server state, mud main path with roots. Okay, and since we're in IO, I'm just gonna print those. Just gonna print root files and just pure state, not do anything yet. Yeah, we gotta import that. That comes from system under Google. System.file path, which I think is in base. Let's see if it is. It's not. That's okay. We will add it. File path. Do. 1540. Okay. Cat map. And we're going to initialize this variable. Sim rooms. Yeah, maybe this function doesn't need the service state. Maybe we do it up here. Yes. Let's run it. We should get nothing. Does not exist. Okay, so we'll have to make it. running, everything's fine. Cool. I'm not printing anything yet. So let's go add our first room definition. And entry.lua. And we have to give it a name. A description. And a list of exits. It'll just be empty for now. I think that will be satisfactory. Okay, printed to entry.lua. Cool. Okay, so now that we have the room files, we're going to map over them, using our parser to parse each one, and build up our map. So we need to get the text of the file in order to call parse room definition and get either our eithers back. I'll bind it to rooms. Of course, this is when the Haskell or something's going to decide to lock up on me. Oh, my VM's going to slow down. There we go. I don't know why, but there it goes. Okay, rooms. Traverse with something over room files. Or I'm gonna need the IO action, yeah, because we gotta read. Read the file. That's gonna be a file path to IO room. No, either room definition error or text room. I think that type makes sense. Hopefully, GHC will tell me if I'm wrong. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we put our hole here, and now potentially have a list of eithers. Yeah, a list of eithers. Assuming we can implement that. Let's see. Okay, if we collect an error parsing any of these, we should probably just crash right away and like notify the programmer. They've done something wrong. So we could make this into room map. The idea would be that we return state such that the state server state sim rooms equals room map. Okay, and then our types don't match up anymore. So what we want to do is map.fromList, back mapping over that action. Does that work? Import that. Data.map.strict. Map. Okay, so we don't want this type anymore. The either room definition error, we just want a tuple, text to room. Okay, so let's go ahead and implement this. I think we will be good to go there. So first things first, we're going to need data.text.io. Source. Text.read file. Path. And that gives us a text file, so we should be able to parse that then. Parse room definition. And if we get a left error, I don't know if we have show instances for it. Hopefully we do. Show the error. This probably could be better. This usually show's not a great way to display errors. Let's just put it that way if you're writing a Haskell application. And we'll put the path on the end as well. Otherwise, we have the room and its label. Or its ID. And we can just return that. In fact, I don't need to pull it apart. Okay. Assuming everything went well there. With code, we should run this up. Be able to get our room definition gets loaded. Okay, Bakamud entry to the open file does not exist. No such file directory. Okay. So we get the name. We need the full path. Or I think that's from text.read file. So we get associate, mud main, path, rooms, It's not a path. I'm gonna call it F name so it's a little bit more clear. I am not running the right thing. There we go. Okay, looks like we're good. All right, looks like that works. Let's. Do we need to clean up anything here? Maybe. I think we could simplify this a little bit by not needing the server state here. I'm just needing the mud main path. Base path. And we simplify to just base path. And this as well. Instead of returning server state, we will return that map. Do that, turn this into a pure. Or no, don't even need that, just like this. And fix all this stuff. So then now we can go, let's see here. File map. Where'd it go? Turn this back into a pure. Call it compile map, compile map. This looks like it's just compile rooms. I'm gonna rename it compile rooms. And then we have to go to the mud main path. Oh, we don't need this anymore. It's constraint. And then this comes room map. There we go. That's a little better. And it probably still runs the same. So create a little commit for that. Bakamud, server state. File path dependency. file rooms to init service. Oh, changed. Rooms and its server state. There we go. Okay. So that can load up a room map. Or at least a bunch of rooms. It's not a complete simulation of space simulation yet, but it's part of it. Next, what do we have to do to get us connected and seeing this room as soon as we log in? All right, well, now we got a room map to put us in. We've got a test room in there. We could work on the that other end of it, I mentioned at the beginning there, to create our avatar, I guess, and connect to it. Connect our client to it. So we can start controlling it. Okay, so let's talk about avatars. We're kind of designing this to be based on an entity component system. And that's for building mobs, but I think an avatar shouldn't be too much different than a regular mob. The only difference is that it's connected and controlled by a client that's controlled by a user, a player of the game, through text commands. And so the simulation can affect the avatar, right, when it's running and doing, when the game designer's MUD code is running and updating those systems, which are going to change those components. Some of the components might be attached to an entity that represents the user's avatar in the world, in the simulation. And yeah. So I think the avatars are going to be fairly important for the server, potentially to know about. Why would that be? Why wouldn't it just be any other entity? Let's see, maybe it doesn't have to be, because well, maybe it just needs a special kind of component. What I'm thinking, let's draw it out a little bit. There. Skadoosh. Actually, let me get a kind of a blankish background here so we can draw stuff and see it. Okay. So we have our user happily playing the game connected by their computer. That's my great computer drawing. To the server. On the internet. And inside our server somewhere is going to be a mapping of some kind of list of entity IDs. All right, and so the server, when the user sends a command like attack, Alright, they send this command over. It's got a... We have to tell... That's like the user's telling the server, like, do this, make my avatar do this. In the simulation, right? And so that attack is going to have to get parsed by some mud code that the game designer wrote. There's my little game designer with their cool cool hair. And the game designer is going to write some code that's going to like receive that attack command and decide what to do about it, right? Like we're going to queue that up, and that command's going to, if it successfully resolves by the game logic, it's going to, you know, apply some damage to the health component of another entity in the system. Right. So if I'm thinking about how to process that attack command as the game designer, do I need to know if the entity... Well, if I get the command, I'm going to get the command from some kind of special input. That's going to tell me this came from a user. So that's one thing. I'm probably going to need to know the entity ID associated with that user's client, the one that's connected. But otherwise I don't, yeah, maybe we don't need to like have a special type for user avatars. So it can just be entity IDs as far as the game designer is concerned. It just so happens that this entity that we're getting the attack from is like a client that belongs to a user that's in the database in our server. Hopefully that makes sense. The connections that we have in the server are also like which clients are connected, and the server needs to know about those so that it can queue up the response to that command, like what happened, you know, in the simulation after we processed the attack command. Alright, so we're going to need to know a little bit about that. Well, the connection, I guess, is, or something's going to need to know about that that particular entity, at least. That entity's association with the client. So we'll have to have some kind of bridge for that, I guess. Because the other thing is, like, we're going to have, like, a move command, and then we're like, okay, so I got to move this entity ID to another place. And so the game designer is probably going to interact with our Haskell code so we can update that and move that over there. And then we have to know that that entity is in a different room, and that entity is associated with this client because it's a user's avatar, that sort of thing. But I think my design whisper senses saying that, like, just treat it as yet another entity. Okay, so that means code-wise, we need to figure out that bridge, how to associate a user to an entity. We need to be able to instantiate an entity. Put that entity in the room. Or associate that entity with the room somehow. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot to do. Connection is usually what we have for our input and output to a client that is connected to the server. So we have some helpful functions for talking to clients. Talk. Writes to a connection, some update to a connection ID. Output broadcasts a message to all the clients. And we can add command, we can command dispatch. Yeah. So that's how we talk to connections. Let's look at the login command. So in server commands, we have some special particular commands. Login, message of the day, register, handle parse error, and unprocessed. So the idea is that some of these commands are going to be specific to the server. Like login, message of the day, register. Things that are like administrative to the server that we don't want necessarily the game designer to have to like worry about. It's kind of taken care of. One of those command, login, should put you in a particular state where you are authenticated. So we know the connected client, who they are. Handle register, yeah. Handle login. So maybe we need, once you've logged in, we need another way to associate the connection with an entity. The other thing we want to make sure of too when associating these things is that other clients can't manipulate your avatar, the one that belongs to you. So it should be associated with your account, with your connection. So that people can't log in as you or like find other ways to work around that. It's got to be careful about that. Make sure we watch that. So I'm wondering if we maybe need another like command to set that up. Or should that be a function that the game designer's code can call to create that association, and not necessarily a special server command that we process on input? I think I want a slightly higher level concept than a connection. Connection is pretty low level. I might even want to move this auth state up too into something called a client. Or is this good enough? Because what I'm thinking is that we have like a connection Yeah, even talking about a game engine concept here almost feels a little weird, right? What do I put, like entity ID? An entity ID, like... So if you have one, that means you are connected, authenticated, you entered some command in the game code that lets you choose one of many characters you could be that you have. And the game designer designed like all that, the logic for all that stuff. So they call a function back into the Haskell land that like associates this entity ID with this connection. Maybe that's not so bad. Yeah, well, we can speculatively try to like feel out this code and see how it goes. Ha ha ha, look at you. Welcome to stream, first time chat. I'm missing the goatee though. I'm not that old. Thanks for the follow, ha ha ha, look at you. You hack in Haskell or make games, or what do you do?
You're goddamn right. We hack code. We cook bites.
I never super got into that show, Breaking Bad. Should I go back and maybe watch it? I'm kind of in the middle of shows right now. I'm not really watching anything. I just finished Andor and was pretty impressed with that one. But yeah, I think the reason why I bounced off with Breaking Bad the first time was just it was a little unreal. I was having a hard time suspending my belief. I got a little gory. And while I don't mind gore, it was just like, I don't know, it was just kind of gross. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't ready for it. Maybe I'm ready now, you know? Okay. Okay, so let's assume we're gonna put the entity ID on the connection. Okay. Let's make that a thing. Now we need a way of... We need something called an entity ID. I don't think we have that yet. Let's get GHCID running. Okay, we don't. Simulation. Component entity. Get a little new file here. Let's get a little new type for it. Where should we make IDs? Probably UIDs of some kind or something. Let's just make them text for now, so it's just easy to get it going. We can always, because it's a new type, we can always change that later pretty easily. That gets us something. Okay, so we can go back to connection and import that. probably going to need to update the server code there. Where we create the connection. Add connection here. And here. Yeah, should be good. Nothing. How's that? That's better. Okay. Okay, so when you initially connect, no entity ID associated with you. So, next thing we would need to be able to do is to associate that entity ID with a connection. So this might be the first place where we actually need to pass a Haskell function to our MUD code, to our Lua interpreter, so that the game designer's MUD code can call it. Or we could do that at a later point in time. We can hard code in this for now just so we can get the room to show up after we log in. So yeah, I kind of just want to see the room. So let's get that going. Sorry, command. Yeah, so the handle login. All right, so we can just update the auth success, and we can do that here. Right? So doing okay on time. We're going to be ending in about 15-ish minutes. So let's see. Update entity ID. What did I call it? What did I call it? Entity. Straighten those out. I'm going to call it entity ID though. That's a better name. Oh, maybe I don't need that? So we're in an IO block. We're doing an STM transaction. Modifying the connections TVAR so we get the connections. Overloaded strings. We got overloaded strings. What is going on here? Yeah, I do have overloaded strings enabled. That's correct. So that should be text. Oh, do I not have data Bakamud simulation? Maybe. Oh, of course, of course. Entity ID. I need the constructor. We don't have that constructor in scope. So we need that here. Bakamud simulation dot entity. Okay, so then I wanted to do here. Add IO, IO atomically. Yeah, modify T-bar. Let's put which column down here. Oh, we just need a pure map. Okay, okay. I can compose my functions together here. Right, can I do that? Yeah. Well, I'm a little confused about what that block was, but I figured it out. So there we go. Okay, so now when we connect, we should always have an entity ID here. We put a big bad to-do on this. So I put on the mud code. Okay. Added that. Stage these. I'm gonna put this on a branch. Push these first. Create branch, start again. Main. We're gonna call it entity test. Entity connection test. Sure. Okay. Submit. And the main part of this is modifying Bakamud's connection. So what did we do there? We added a Bakamud simulation entity ID type. Changed. Connection has entity ID field. The idea to associate a particular entity ID in the system to a connection. That way, we know what connection to pipe world updates to. Rooms. As entities live in the simulation. Connection to pipe world updates to from simulation. These entities should typically represent the user's avatar. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna get that started, but I think we're kind of out of time for the stream this week. So thanks for tuning in. I usually do these streams once a week on Tuesday evenings at 10 after 8 in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. It's getting to that time of year where I like to take a bit of a break. So next week I'll be doing one for sure, but I think that might be the last one, last official one for the rest of the year. Follow me here, of course, on Twitch if you have notifications enabled and you like to follow people there. No pressure, but that will let you know when I do go online, because I'm also doing an Advent of Code right now, and I am streaming those haphazardly as I feel like it, so you can tune in to that. I'm doing Advent of Code in C this year, and you can get notified of those when I go online if you follow me. That'd be great. If you're watching my videos on my YouTube channel, because I stream my VODs there, and just leave me a like and a subscribe and a comment. Feed the algorithm, let them know that we're here and we're building cool stuff so that other people can find cool Haskell content if that's what they're looking for. And go to the link above my head, declarative.tv. There are other cool streamers who are doing stuff in languages like Elixir and Erlang and all kinds of other declarative style languages, including Haskell. We have a Discord server linked off of that website, where there's a channel for this stream and for all the other streamers there that you may want to follow and spread the love to. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you are having a good time, and if you aren't, that you will be soon. May all your monads be free and your types always check, and we'll see you out there. Don't forget to also follow me on types.pl. Oh, and the code for tonight, of course, is on GitHub. I'm Agent Ultra on GitHub as well. agentultra.com/GitHub. This is Bakamud, and I'm on types.pl as Agent Ultra as well, so you can follow me if you're on Mastodon. Take care. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Have a great one. Happy hacking out there.